Today on the Diz List, we count down the top 5 World Showcase attractions for countries that don't have one.
Welcome to the Diz List, the podcast that lists everything in Walt Disney World. I'm Nick.
And I'm Rob, and today we're going to take a look at the World Showcase and figure out which countries don't have an attraction, and we'll make a suggestion what we think Disney should put in those countries.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, they have attractions, right? They have
movies
sure, so or whatever, but we want to put some rides.
Yes.
Right?
No, mine are all rides.
Yeah, mine are all rides. The one thing I would say is this. I kind of think that I'm leaning heavy into the EPCOT vibe with most of mine.
Some of mine are more IP, if that's what you're about to say.
Yeah, no, I have some IP in mind, but I'm even with the IP, I feel like I'm leaning heavy into, with the exception of one, I'm leaning heavy into EPCOT's whole vibe. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. I'm excited to hear that after halftime.
Hey, long time no talk. We haven't talked in forever. It's only been like 11 hours.
Well, our listeners haven't heard us for a while. So I think a good way to start off is to say Happy Mother's Day to all of our listeners who are mothers.
Yes, we took that weekend off because we wanted to celebrate our wives and our moms.
And our moms, yeah.
Yeah. So
we thought Happy Mother's Day.
We thought it was worth, taking it was after the 200th. We kind of had that celebration, and I think that it was a good timing. And I know that you were a little bit like, should we release something? I was like, no, like people don't understand. So, and I got a lot of good feedback
at first about recording a different day because I knew that my wife wanted to do something during our normal recording time, Sunday, obviously. So that's when we usually record. And we just said, we'll take a day, and people get it. They understand. And
our listeners are the best. Let's be honest.
Yes, they are. Speaking of our listeners, we had some funny feedback from the 200th episode on a couple different levels. We had people who took the challenge of listening to all of my bands back to back, and we got a message from a woman named Alex.
Yeah, Alex, I think messaged me on Spotify.
Yep,
that they listened to it because they heard us mention one time before. What was the band?
Every Time I Die.
Every Time I Die.
I went to I know the guys in that band. They're from Buffalo. So that happened. Quite a few people messaged and said they did listen to the music. So
yeah, we had multiple Brians. Multiple Brians listened.
One of our patrons was on it.
Yeah, one of the Brians was in the Supercut.
Yes,
he definitely listened. Brian from Buffalo.
Yep,
he listened because he's into like some of that scene, the punk scene and stuff. And we had another Brian said I listened. So like we have a lot of Brians that listened. I just bring that up because I think it's funny.
We also, I don't know if we made people mad. Some people were mad. Some people liked it. But we had something that we did on our Patreon show.
Oh my God!
And if you are not one of our Patreon members, there's a paid and a free tier. This recent episode was released to everybody on both tiers.
Yeah,
so go and listen to that episode. There is a question that we got about which resort would we flatten and put a park in its place.
You angered some people.
I did. And the number of views that we had on that on social media on both Instagram and TikTok was like wild. People were like so upset. We're like, hey, this is hypothetical fun here, folks.
Well, I want to make a point about this. Okay.
Sure.
You have to understand, right? That, so I get the whole negativity gets a lot of clicks and whatnot. But can we please fix this algorithm, people? Like, why is it that the fact that people were upset with us got us 1,000 views in 2 days on a reel because you were tearing down Pop Century? And it was like, I replied to everybody who commented. I said, look, man, like this was 100%. We were asked to pick a resort. Rob picked the one with the largest footprint that is adjacent to another resort that is animation themed, because we thought we could, like, don't take it personally. We don't actually think they should take down Pop Century. One person was like, spoken like a rich kid or something like that. And I was like,
Yeah.
bro, let me tell you something about rich people. I see them. Like, I know a few. We live in horse country, so I get that. But like, we're not rich. I live across from a mansion. I don't live in a mansion. So
the next one I have here, well, actually, it's not the next. We can jump right into the news here.
Yeah.
This one is from a while ago, but I didn't want to skip over it.
2 weeks
ago. We may
want
to go over with our listeners the rules for when you're on Kilimanjaro Safari.
Yeah. Hold it. That's the rule. Hold it.
Wait, hold your drink in your hand? Hold your kid? What are we holding here, Nick?
Yeah. Hold your bladder. Because let me tell you, what a crazy, wild scene. Like, can you imagine explaining to your kids why you're banned from Disney? We can't go back to Disney anymore because I jumped out of Kilimanjaro Safaris to go to the bathroom on bushes among the wild animals. Like, there are so many tiers of ridiculousness.
Mm-hmm.
There's a ride full of families that you are now urinating in front of. So you get the public indecency, public urination, all those charges. You are in an enclosure with animals, like live animals that don't, like they don't know you. You're not a trainer. You don't know what the heck can happen. You're not. What are you doing? Like, what?
Well, I guess if you really got to go, it's safer to pee on Jungle Cruise.
Yeah, honestly. I mean, that water's only a couple inches deep, actually.
Yeah, I don't think those animals are going to go after you.
So I just want to, what do you think was going through his head?
He needed to mark his territory. You know, that's what animals do, you know?
But like, so there's either A, that was a sober decision, which means this person's the dumbest human being in the world. I was
going to say, could be intoxicated.
B, they were drunk and did it. Now, I will say the athletic ability used to get out of and then back into tells me that there was not a lot of drinking going on.
No, it didn't seem too clumsy.
like what? You really can't. That was wild.
It's one thing if it's like a 3-year-old and they walk over somewhere in Disney and they yank their pants down and they're peeing. Like I'm not saying that's appropriate. I'm just saying that behavior makes more sense if it is from a 3.
No, this person
maybe even to 6-year-old, somewhere in that range. Yeah. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying like that's what you would expect. You wouldn't expect it from, an adult. We'll say, I don't know what the age was or.
Well, I mean, it looked to me like when they got back onto that ride vehicle that their child was like, "What are you doing, Dad?"
I'm sure they were.
Like, I hope that was the last day of their vacation, because if it wasn't, that was a lot of money spent for nothing.
Or they're going without Dad. Yeah.
Or I mean, Uncle I don't know how Steve that works.
Or whoever it was. I
would assume they ban the whole family? I don't think they would ban the whole family because the whole family didn't do it.
I shouldn't have said Uncle Steve. Someone listening is named Steve and an uncle. I apologize. It's not you.
Yeah.
Someone's
Uncle
going,
Nate,
hey, I'm Uncle Steve.
Uncle Nate.
Yeah, there you go. You know an Uncle Nate.
I do.
He's not my uncle. Anyway, did you see this news headline that Disney is looking to combine all of their apps into one? Disney is currently, have you heard this yet?
Go on. I haven't. I've got thoughts already.
I want to get your thoughts on
already.
This. I know, because you got to start by telling people what you teach. Here's the explanation. Disney is currently in the early stages of exploring a super app that would merge its standalone experiences, including parks, cruise lines, and streaming services into one hub. Can you believe that? Okay, so what do you teach that's related to this?
I teach an AP computer science course. I've been doing it for 19 years. Logistically, it's possible if you have a somewhat competent IT department, which Disney has shown over and over again they don't have. I have to log in 18 different times just to make a reservation using my DVC points. Look, if they want to make one app to be like Disneyland, Disney World, Disney Cruise Lines, cool. That's smart.
That would work. Yep.
Because, like, for instance, I had to download an Aulani app to go to Aulani and the Disneyland app to see the pictures that were taken at Aulani because they don't show up in the Aulani app.
Oh, weird.
Because those are like the photo passes run through. It's bizarre. It's bizarre world, I'm telling you. But in order to put them all in one app, you probably would want to, I don't know, have the same rules at every park. Because there's not even the same rules with like when you can do fast passes and what this is and what. Look, man, Disney IT is not good. That's the reality of it. I suppose since they fired a whole bunch of people and then decided that they were going to just have AI do everything, they'll probably have AI try to create the app.
Probably.
And in most cases, I'd say that's a bad idea. But seeing how like their IT department has been so horrible in the past, I don't know how much worse it could possibly get.
And we'll find out.
Their stuff goes, their apps are horrible, notoriously horrible. Like, I can see it being a big problem if they try to do this, but hey, we'll find out.
Soarin' previews were this week. There were people who posted footage online, and I don't know, I quickly skimmed a little bit of it. I don't want to watch the whole thing all the way through.
I'm not going to watch it because I want to experience it.
Yep, and I will too. I just wanted to, I saw maybe 3 different scenes of the different places, which I won't say, but it didn't look too much different. It looked great. I think you're going to enjoy it. People that have seen it, send us a message. Let us know what you think. You know what I didn't do, and I probably should have. I'm curious what the music is. If they use the same music, or do they use something a little bit more? I don't want to say patriotic because that's like way too.
Is this like John Philip Sousa playing the whole time?
Yeah, or was it 1812 Overture, something like that?
Yeah.
I'm just curious if they're going to do something like that, but looks really promising. But the thing that was even more exciting that came out in the last couple of days is that scooter animatronic. Have you seen that?
Yes.
Yeah, and
I'm okay with I'm okay with seeing it just because I saw it scrolling through. I don't want to get too many spoilers, but
no, and I didn't either. And I know there's
so
more.
Good. It looks so good.
The part I did see afterwards is they showed one of the puppeteers with Scooter with the dots, the motion capture dots.
Yeah.
So the animatronic is based on an actual puppeteer's performance, which I thought was really cool. So I won't really say any more than that because, again, you always call me the spoiler, and I'm very conscious of that now that you rip on me for it all the time. So I feel like people knew Scooter was coming, and I think it's just good to know that the movements of Scooter are based on a puppeteer. My thing.
To get the software engineers that are in charge of that to take care of their app, and maybe it would work because that is remarkable. That is so cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. I'm excited for it.
One more thing that I just found out yesterday that I thought was interesting is over at Guardians of the Galaxy, they're testing out dividing people into lanes for the Guardians pre-show. So if you've been on Guardians of the Galaxy before, when you get into the final room, once you've been on the ride before, you know that you're supposed to go to the right. Okay. I won't say any more. But when you get into that last room, the doors open up to the right and everybody like bottlenecks their way in. So what Disney is currently testing is putting people into, I guess, dividing off. They're using the ropes. So they have more of a system that's going to be a little less crazy once they get into that room. So, that ride is near perfect. And the reason I say near perfect is there's little things like that I think they probably didn't plan for that happening. For people to get crazy and walk in and shove their way to the right.
I'll say this. I was watching a reel this week or a short on YouTube. I can't remember what it was, but a guy said, I have a hot take. Go left when you go into the Guardians pre-show room. He said that he timed it. Like he watched and paid attention to the person who went through first to see when they got on the ride. He started a timer when they got on the ride. And he stopped the timer when he got on the ride, and the difference was 45 seconds.
Oh, great!
Like his comment was, I was on the train after him. So like, what difference?
So no use pushing and shoving, folks.
Exactly. Like he made sure to go because how there's he made sure to go to the same loading side and all that stuff. 45 seconds.
I know.
and I think it's worse at times. It can be worse at Haunted Mansion. Because that's a real bottleneck.
Yeah, that is too. Because that door is tiny too.
Yeah. So,
well, I mean, there's some other little things for news we can save till next week. These ones I thought were pretty big and time sensitive. So, and there was quite a bit, but I really want to move on and have our conversation because I have a lot to say here about World Showcase.
Yeah.
So, you want to lead us into halftime and then we can jump into our top 5 here after?
Absolutely. So this week, our halftime show is brought to you by a few people, a few places that we are affiliates of now, and we will be dropping their links down in the show notes. But Unlock Magic, where you can get discounted tickets for Universal and for Disney, even for special events. I've purchased my last 3 trips worth of tickets there, including special event tickets. They are the lowest prices you will find anywhere, and they are completely legit tickets. So it's not like they're, weird something going on with them. You get your number, you put it into My Disney Experience, and there you go.
Yep.
Be Our Guest Vacations, who can help you plan the most magical vacation you can possibly imagine, and DVC Rental Store, where you can rent your DVC points, either if you're a DVC owner, rent them out, or if you are looking to try out DVC or just stay in one of those accommodations, you can rent points to stay at a DVC resort. Rob has rented points through me, but not everybody has a friend who owns DVC. And so the DVC rental store really does
doing
help.
that. Yeah, I'm looking
DVC
forward
rental
to doing that and
stores,
using them.
Yeah, DVC rental store is, in my opinion, the most legitimate place you can go, and it's going to protect you the best because you're not necessarily going through a third party that you don't know. So check out those places. Again, that's DVC Rental Store, Be Our Guest Vacations, as well as Unlock Magic. We're going to head off to the halftime show, and we'll see you right after this. Oh, welcome back. This half of the show, we're going to talk about the top 5 rides that we want to see brought to EPCOT in pavilions that don't already have a ride. Now, they might have a show.
Yes, that came up in the first half.
But I can't wait because I think we got some interesting ones here.
Right. So, my mind went to Mexico right away, which I know that this is not my number 5. I'm just talking here. And then I thought, no, they already have a ride. That one's off the table because I'm wearing my Coco shirt today. And I thought, well, you could easily put the Coco ride in there or do something different with Donald. That doesn't count. Okay. We are talking about the ones that don't have a ride at this point right now. So number 5, we've talked about a lot. And this one is, it's number 5 because it's honestly a layup at this point. And in the Germany pavilion, in the back area there's a lot of space that originally there was supposed to be a ride. So there actually is room for it. I tried to at least think, okay, is there room? What ride would go there? Is it even possible? And again, I may be wrong. I got to look at the map from above to make sure the stuff is all going to fit. But they recently opened the Rapunzel Dark Ride, and I think it's Tokyo Disney Sea. Is that where they opened that one up? And it was it's absolutely beautiful. And Rapunzel takes place, it's in a fictional place called Corona, but it's supposed to resemble Germany. So I think that would be a perfect place to put that Rapunzel Dark Ride. So I don't really need to explain it too much. If you haven't seen it before, you can go onto YouTube and take a look. But I thought that would be a pretty good spot for it. Right at the back there in the Germany pavilion. What are your thoughts on this?
Well, my thoughts are this. Germany might be the only place where we don't have to actually pretend that land and space is not an issue, because Germany literally has the footprint for the ride because there was supposed to be a ride.
Yeah, there's one other. We'll get to that too.
Yeah, but that's one of the only ones. But I think that's a great idea. I think that's a wonderful spot. I think that I think that IP is vastly underused. What do we have? Bathrooms? Come on, let's fix this.
Well, the tower, but I'm not really counting that either.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So my number 5 is the American Pavilion. So I know we have a show there, but what I think we should do is to have an Omnimover ride that takes us through kind of the foundations of America. So, kind of sticking with the whole EPCOT vibe, the learning vibe. I would like the structure of this to be kind of like literally the American Adventure, because that's kind of the pavilion name, right?
Yeah.
Of going through colonial times, colonial streets, kind of looking how our country has evolved over the years, whether that be westward expansion, or looking at the infrastructure that's changed. I'm not sure that you need to make it one city, like maybe it's New York City, right? And you you're starting and it's colonial New York, and then you're going through this dark ride Omnimover that is every time you enter a new room, kind of think like Mickey and Minnie's, where every room is a new scene and it's telling a story. I think
I was thinking of Living with the Land is kind of like that too.
Yes, it is. I was thinking more of a trackless system, kind of going through, similar to a Minnie and Mickey's, because like every room is different and it's intentionally different. Do you know what I mean? And so
you can project massive expanses versus making a huge room with a set.
You could have a set though. You could easily have a massive, like a forced perspective set of like, now you're in the streets of a city versus before you were in the streets of a colonial town. So that's kind of what I was thinking. I know it's not a pie in the sky kind of a thing. I don't think it would be super expensive, but Omnimovers are people eaters, and if they can keep getting people to go in there, I think that is certainly something that would be worth visiting. I'll say this. I think it'd be more popular with foreign visitors, because I think Americans would be like, oh, whatever. I'm sitting in 7th grade history.
Yeah, some.
But yeah, some. I would write it, but a lot of people would get annoyed with it. If they wanted to lean into IP, they could. You could, go with like Sam Eagle and stuff like that in there. But I kind of want it to be straight up just like going through EPCOT style. Think Spaceship Earth, but instead about communication, it's about the growth of America, right, and the foundations. So
right. I think speaking on that, I think the important thing, if you're looking at France or Norway, for example, that they have these IP heavy rides, but like at the front of Norway, there's still you go into the area where they have Norse mythology, and you can learn about the country. And in France, I mean, you really feel like you're in the streets of France, and you go around back to go in the ride. Even that area back there seems like you're in Paris. So I do agree with you that you want to be able to balance both of these things, which I do think is possible. So yeah.
So that brings us to number 4.
Yeah, my number 4. It's not a weird one, but I think it's something that I think could be really fun. So I'm going with Italy. And there is a very, very famous movie that actually, it is an Italian book. It's Pinocchio. And in the movie, though, the way that they animate it is like the buildings in the town looks very German, but we're going to stick with sort of the Italian kind of vibe here, stick with Italy. But here's my idea of what I would want to do. There isn't a lot of space. What if you did something similar to like a Star Tours point of view simulation type ride, where you can kind of go through where the carnival and the donkeys are, and then go into Monstro's mouth, and something that it's a little bit a more tame version of like a Star Tours. So you don't have to build giant sets. And part of the reason I thought of this one is because I want to think of something different for some of these parks. I have one coming up soon that's completely different than anything else in the park at all. But I thought maybe that might be a good thing to do, is do a Pinocchio simulation ride and have that kind of in that back area. I don't want to say take out any of the restaurants. Maybe the restaurants could be reconfigured so you could put a couple of those simulation cars in there. The other thing you can do too is you can always build up. So if you build up, the restaurant could go up there and the heavier ride vehicles can go below, and then you have that opportunity there. Similar to what like a construction project.
Yeah, you just have to make sure there's a steam room on the bottom floor so you get funding.
You know what's so funny? I was this close to saying we had a building project at our school where we had to do things on a separate floor because we couldn't go out.
Yeah,
that we were thinking the same way on that one.
Yeah, no, that's a good idea. Honestly, I understand what you're saying. I'm operating under the assumption that we have unlimited space, because some of mine are like, I have no idea where the heck to put this, but I'm telling you, it would be awesome if we did it. So I don't care if it's in the middle of the lagoon.
Sure.
We're going to do it.
You're number 4.
Italy's cool. Number 4 for me is the UK. All right. And they had talked for a little while that we were getting like a Cherry Tree Lane thing, and like, but they had shown something that made me think it was like a spinner ride. think teacups like. And I was
Oh.
like, that originally, that's kind of what it looked like. And I was like, I don't really want that. So what I would like to see is a ride that is kind of, think Peter Pan, right? But
Mhm.
it's you're basically like with a kite. So a kite is carrying you away. Your ride vehicle is a kite. You
Oh,
know how
so
they,
they hang from above?
just like, well, yeah, kind of like with Peter Pan, right? They hang,
Mhm.
right? Those
Yeah.
cars hang, and
Yep.
you're going over the streets of London, similar to
Mhm.
Peter Pan, but
Yeah.
it's through scenes of Mary Poppins and Mary Poppins adjacent stuff. You start in the
Ah.
actual London, right?
Mhm.
And as you go through, it becomes animated, very similar to when the penguins come on, because that was like groundbreaking when they did that.
Mhm.
So you've got the animation like adjacent to the actual live action, and I think that just it's another one that's to me it's a slam dunk. It's going to eat some people. Is it going to be waiting a ton of minutes? No, but if you're looking at a way to get people to come to Epcot with families, this is a way to do it.
Yeah.
And so it's kind of like the Mary Poppins, basically the kids when they're flying their kite and stuff. Let's Go Fly a Kite is playing, and you take off, and there you go. And you're kind of going through some scenes from Mary Poppins. That's what I think they should do in
An
UK.
important thing for me with Disney rides in general is the sound, is the music that's playing. And that's for a lot of rides. I mean, some of them obviously really you can't, depending on what the ride is specifically.
Right.
But I think having Mary Poppins and those classic songs
Mm-hmm.
is something that's going to completely grab you. I think that's such a good thing that Disney does is incorporating these earworm songs that you're going to go
Mm-hmm.
back and enjoy, which
Yep.
actually leads me to mine, which is my number 3 is also the UK pavilion.
Okay.
I had a slightly different. I actually really like yours too.
Mm-hmm.
Mine was slightly different, where it's a different franchise, but I have the same idea as you, where it's something for families, something a little bit more like chill that's going to be in the back, but it's also fun at the same time. And I mentioned this on our show last week. We had somebody ask about our favorite animated movies, and I brought up Robin Hood, and I love Robin
Oh.
Hood, and I thought that would be great there. So if you have a dark ride, I don't know, I didn't really think of a lot of specifics other than I thought, how fun would it be with something like where they're shooting arrows and you could have like air shoot out, and they're so good with sound design where they can make it sound like it just goes, like have the arrows go by overhead. I mean, not literally. I mean, you could kind of
Yeah.
project them or whatever, but I think that would just kind of be a fun way to incorporate Robin Hood and bring Robin Hood back, because there's a lot of properties that you have throughout the Disney parks that are movies that are not really popular currently, but maybe it would help with a resurgence. I don't know if they've done a lot of Winnie the Pooh in a long time, but Winnie the Pooh has just been so strong and has never gone away.
Mm-hmm.
I think, and I may be wrong, but I think Robin Hood does have kind of a nice following of people of our age group and older, because I
Yeah.
watched it in the 80s, but I know it came out long before that. But
Yeah.
I always really liked that one. So I thought that might be a fun option. Number 3 for me was putting in a Robin Hood dark ride in the UK pavilion.
I think that's cool, and I like Robin Hood as well. I know you're a huge fan of that IP.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that'd be a really cool one to. So one thing I would say is my number 3 is
Yeah.
going to one of my favorite pavilions, and it's probably one that um I think you could pull off with minimal expansion by getting rid of the current show that's there, which is not well attended. I want to go to the Canada Pavilion.
I was gonna say, is this a hockey team we were watching last night?
I want to go to the Canada Pavilion.
Yeah.
So let me preface this by saying one of the vacations I would love to take at some point in my life is one of those coastal train rides through basically you go through the Canadian Rockies and up the coast with like the domed train cars.
Mm-hmm.
So my idea is a simulation ride, basically, because it's going to simulate. You're going to move, but it's going to simulate a ride through the Canadian wilderness.
Oh, that's cool.
People don't understand the ridiculousness, the breadth of size of Canada, and the different landscapes that are there from the prairies and the wheat fields all the way to the Rockies and then back to the coast, and like it's ridiculous. So my idea is a ride that simulates you're on this train going cross country. Okay. And the way they can do it is you're moving, right? You are moving, but the set is actually projections. So kind of like circle vision, but it's all above you, all around you. Cool. And the movie is moving too. So if you're moving at 5 miles an hour and the movie appears to be moving at 20 miles an hour, then it looks like you're going 25, right? If you're going the opposite directions or whatever they want to do. And so they could go and it transitions from one, and this is just taking off of the idea that they use in circle vision, but you're just standing during circle vision. It's a way to get off your feet. You're sitting down, you're in this train car, and
air conditioning.
And you're going through the Canadian wilderness. You're seeing this is not IP dependent. There's narration as opposed to like the funny stuff that they try to do with the narrators of Canada Far and Wide. This is just like narration about Canada, right? It's as classic an EPCOT ride as you can get with a new twist, simply because that it's moving as you're moving, sort of a thing. Do you know what I mean? Like to make you feel like you're going faster. You're going through these sets. There's to me, it'd be cool if it was a mixture of projections and some animatronic stuff. So, wildlife, moose, bear, whatever. I think they could do this, and they can even do projection mapping on floors now. You've seen this at like hockey arenas and basketball arenas for their opening stuff. And so it could be like, oh my gosh, we're going over a bridge now. And it would look like you're actually going over a bridge over this deep chasm that has a river underneath it. Like it is there's a lot of possibilities with this that can happen that are real. They can definitely do this stuff. This is possible. I think it'd be kind of a cool, like new version or new ride that just screams classic EPCOT, right? Because there's no IP in this thing. It's just, let's educate people about Canada.
Sure.
And I honestly think that this is one of those ones where back in the day when like the tourism bureaus would like sponsor these rides and pay to have them done, this is one I think you could probably pull off. You could pitch it to Canada, be like, what do you think? Will you help us pay for this? And as part of the tourism stuff, like if I all of a sudden have a captive audience of millions every single year that happen to see basically a 5-minute long commercial about how beautiful my country is. It's not just Montreal and Toronto and Vancouver, right? But my whole country, like that might be a really cool thing. So that's my thought, is in Canada to make a simulator / not really simulator. I don't know how to describe it, but like the screens would make it look like you're going faster than you are. A train ride through the Canadian wilderness or Canadian countryside.
It's funny. We're matching up again, sort of. My number 2 is also Canada, and I have a similar concept yet completely different. So hear me out, folks. So Canada is my number 2. And my idea for Canada is, I mentioned earlier, I wanted to think of some kind of ride that we don't really have anything close to at all at EPCOT. And I was thinking, what, because we're very close to Canada. Okay. You grew up probably the same distance where we are now to Niagara Falls versus where you grew up. It's probably closer where you grew up, you think?
Yeah.
It's so we're very
15
close to
minutes
Canada.
To the border from my mom's house.
So we're very connected to Canadian culture and, just what we love. Oh, I love my Canadian friends anyway, but I wanted to really show off, kind of similar to you said, where the grandeur of what Canada is and how much and how expansive it is. But then I thought, what do we not have at all there? And then I thought of, what if there was a ride like Grizzly Run at California Adventure, where it's a water ride and you're sitting in like that 360 kind of water ride. You're not getting soaked. It's, you can kind of be sprayed with mist. You're not coming off. You don't need to wear like a full poncho, but you're in the water. You'll get a little bit wet, probably as wet as you would get on Frozen or Pirates of the Caribbean, maybe a little bit, right? Nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing
we're not
awful.
talking. You're not talking Tiana's, and you're not talking Cali River
Right.
Rapids. I got you.
Yep. And there's going to be a mascot. So the mascot can be a bear, or like a Canadian beaver, or a moose, or some animal that is sort of synonymous with Canada. So
Beaver.
they'll create. It could be a beaver.
I want a beaver.
Brand new IP. Okay, they create a character that's going to be for this ride, and you slowly go through the different terrains and places in Canada, icebergs and polar bears, and they'll have different animatronics throughout the ride, kind of like what they have over in Animal Kingdom, only what it is from the start. You're going to be seeing the different places in Canada and the different dog sled race. Maybe I don't know how they would do that with animatronic, but so again, similar. You're pointing out all the beauty that Canada has to offer, but let's get people a little bit wet. And if you think about it, I'll end with this one. There's not very many rides in Epcot that are outdoors at all, right? There just isn't.
No.
Most everything is inside. I mean, you're outdoors for part of Test Track. Moana doesn't really count because it's not really a ride, but most everything they have indoors. This one would be almost exclusively outside. Maybe at some point you would go into a cave, but that's kind of my idea for number 2 is I just called it the Canadian Water Adventure Ride. I don't know. But I mean, that's my
it's already got a leg up on mine because you named it with adventure. And that's like the new the new shtick that they do. Everything's the adventure.
Or magic, or fantastical. That was my 2. What's your number 2?
So my number 2 is the Morocco Pavilion. Okay. And I have to give credit where credit is due. I was talking about this with my wife last night after you guys left.
Okay.
And she pitched this and I was like, I really like that idea. It will be a pseudo thrill ride that is on a trackless system, and you and Aladdin are being chased before he's gotten the genie's lamp. He's being chased through the streets
of Agrabah.
Yep, because he's a thief, right? He's a street rat at that point still. And so they are chasing him through the streets and you are trying to escape them. So I think that would be a lot of fun. My wife mentioned it. I was like, that's
great.
A really good idea.
And the music is perfect too. You have that little muted trumpet with and they're running
and he's
around.
Running away from because he stole
cool.
bread or whatever. So you think about like I'm thinking trackless system, so it's very similar to Remy, where like Remy's trying to get away from the what's his name, the guy who not the chef.
I don't know his name either.
The chef, the bad guy. So running away from him, or running away from the people trying to catch you for stealing bread or whatever. I think that would be absolutely remarkable. I love that pavilion. It is so underloved right now. It is underutilized. It is. People will say, well, but they put a lounge in there sometimes. They put this there. It's like, okay, cool. Like, can we bring back the bazaar? Can we bring back stuff? And it's so beautiful. It is.
Do anything.
Yeah. It's a great spot right now. If you want to go and like, just relax and nobody's going to be back there. Nobody's going to be bugging you. You can do that because no one goes there, but like, let's bring this ride. I'm telling you, I think it'd be great. It'd be a lot of fun. So that's my idea for my number 2 is Morocco.
That's cool. My number 1, I've mentioned before on the show. If you're a longtime listener, you've heard this one, and it's not even my idea. This is something that has been proposed for a long, long time, and I think it is the greatest, and they just need to go with it, is that in the Japan Pavilion, they wanted to do the Mount Fuji coaster in the back, similar to what they have in Disneyland with the Matterhorn. So the Matterhorn is going to be, well, I mean, if you're familiar with the Matterhorn, it's super bumpy. It goes all over the place. I've been on it, and it's definitely not a smooth ride. I will tell you that much. But if you have more modern technology and they can engineer the track a little bit better, it's also similar to Space Mountain, where you have 2 cars moving at once. So you're going to physically build a mountain, and there is room in the back of the Japan Pavilion. I don't know if there's room for a giant mountain, but there's room enough for an attraction there. So you build Mount Fuji in the back, and that becomes a thrill ride, but if you've been on the Matterhorn, it's thrilling, but it's one of those coasters that's good for really anyone in the family. I wouldn't compare it to Space Mountain. That's a high thrill ride. It's more along the lines of a Barnstormer or a Slinky Dog. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
And again, I did not come up with this. This was an idea that was floated around for a long time, that they were going to put the Mount Fuji coaster back there. And I don't want to pretend like I came up with this, because I definitely did not. But I love the idea so much. I think it's perfect. I think when you look at the back of World Showcase, that would be a really nice, they call them weenies. That's a Walt Disney term, where it's where the dog would chase the weenie, because it's kind of like a treat. You're looking towards the back of World Showcase with that beautiful Mount Fuji. I just think it would be incredible. And it's my favorite pavilion, so I wish they would have something like that there. And you probably knew I was going to say that, though, right?
I guessed that A, this would be your number one, and B, that it would be just do what you've already planned. Yes.
Yeah.
Mine,
there's a pavilion we haven't mentioned yet, and I'm wondering if this is where you're going now.
A pavilion we haven't mentioned yet.
Is it a pavilion we haven't mentioned yet?
Yes.
Okay.
Pavilion we haven't mentioned yet.
I think I know where you're going.
Okay, I'm staying in Asia. I'm going to China.
Nice.
Okay. Again, in a conversation last night, because I had kind of thought I knew what I wanted to do, but this rose to the top for me. I want to make a thrill ride in China that is a roller coaster, and the whole theme is it's a roller coaster. You're in a car, a cart, or whatever you want to call it, and it's the Great Wall. It's the Great Wall. A Great Wall coaster.
Awesome.
I think it'd be super cool. You could go with like some theming as well, that it's the Great Wall, but it's also like the Chinese dragons. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. So you could make the car that if you wanted to with, and the theme is it's the dragon going along the Great Wall. But I think that it doesn't need IP. Right. So you don't need to worry about IP in there. It's a thrill ride in the back, which we do not currently have. Right. We don't have a thrill ride in the back. That would, I think, help to reduce some of the strain on Guardians. It would help to reduce some of the strain on the other, the current like Remy and Frozen. It would help to reduce some of those wait times, because people would love this one. China is an underrated pavilion, I think. It's not as good as Japan, but it's still very good, and just isn't, I don't think it's recognized as being as good as it is. I feel like this could elevate it to the next level. Call up some of those Imagineers that worked on Hong Kong and worked on those on Shanghai and stuff like that, because those parks have amazing rides, and be like, we want to build a coaster about the Great Wall and help us celebrating Chinese heritage, celebrating Chinese mythology. Maybe doesn't matter to me how they want to do it, but I think that'd be phenomenal. Yes. It screams to me like this is a missed opportunity, because the Great Wall is, synonymous with China, obviously. And then you throw in, like, you see, like in Soarin' when they're swooping down, it's the Great Wall. Like, imagine that's not, you're not watching a video and like
you're actually diving
flying.
in.
You're actually diving and coming like that would just be so cool, because they could do projections look at Guardians. Guardians is an indoor coaster with lots of projections. They could do some crazy projections while you're on this coaster to make it look and feel like you are on a coaster that's built on top of the Great Wall. So
love it.
My number one is China, a Great Wall coaster.
Cool.
So,
all right. Now we send this to the Imagineers.
Yep.
They start selecting our ideas, which one do they want to go forward with.
It only takes 4 years. It takes 4 years, right? November of 2022, we said we should turn Rock and Roller Coaster into a Muppets ride. Now it is.
Yep.
So 4 years from now, 2030, you guys will see these rides coming to a place near you.
Well, at least one of them. I mean, chances are pretty good that one of these is going to happen. Let's see.
Oh yeah, at least.
Which one is it going to be?
Which one's it going to be though?
It's going to be the one where they have room.
Yeah.
Whichever one of
Germany?
these is the easiest. Well, it could
Germany
be.
then?
Yeah, Germany. Japan has one in the back. I don't know what's beyond in China. I love your idea, but I don't know
think
if
there's
it's
enough room to do
I think it's
massive coaster, but
they had storage for the shows back there, and I remember they would open the bridge that's in between China and the sort of area before Germany that's not really Africa. They would open that up and they would bring stuff in there.
yeah. I mean, there is room. Like if you go back to that huge, massive convention area, whatever, like sometimes they do like Run Disney stuff in there.
Yeah.
Or like they used to do like some food and wine stuff back there. If they just took that footprint and made it an indoor coaster, you could find a way to connect a lot of different countries to that particular pad of land.
Yeah.
So it's possible. I'm looking forward to 2 weeks from now because I got excited about because we're talking about innovation. We're talking about new rides. We are 9 days away from probably the biggest single day of innovation at Disney World. So I'm excited for that coming up all at one time. Yeah. On May 26th.
Yeah. Other than the opening of a park, it's, it's a lot of different things at different places.
Yeah. It's the single biggest non-new park thing, I think, in as long as I can remember. So that'll be fun. Did you have any honorable mentions before we head off?
No. I know you had a couple. So
yeah.
you had one or two that overlapped mine, I think.
One is this ride. They already have a ride here, but I think they should update and change. And I love Donald, but they need to change Mexico to a Coco ride.
Oh, right.
I've got for Italy, I thought of like a something that celebrates Leonardo da Vinci and his quote unquote flying machines. So
cool.
And like you're on this thing and you're whatever you're going from like the queue I even thought of could be like featuring all the designs and the drawings and the beautiful artwork that were was Leonardo's basically ideas or were his ideas. That was kind of the two I thought of. In Japan, I actually thought of like I was like, you know what, let's do a Mystic Manor kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah.
Instead of what you had for an idea.
There's room for both.
So that would be kind of a cool thing. But yeah, I think that's kind of where I was. But you didn't have any other ones, right?
No.
Okay.
Yeah. The other thing I thought of while we were doing this list, it's not really part of our honorable mention, but there's a whole building next to Test Track, and well, it's not directly there, but it's in that whole area where it's just sitting there empty.
Yeah. I mean,
what are they going to put in? That's Wonders of Life. What goes in Wonders of Life?
Yeah. I
don't know.
That's bizarre to me that they haven't done something there. I wonder if at D23 we're going to get announcements about they're not really done with EPCOT, but
yeah, I think their next announcement is Imagination. They got to be going to Figment next.
Yeah, probably. They got to be doing. I mean, there's a lot of stuff they need to be doing over in EPCOT, but that's all I've got. So, guys, I really want to thank you. We got a lot of good feedback on our 200th. We got a lot of good feedback from our Ask Me Anything show, which, by the way, if you're not a free patron, go join for free because you can then be you can have access to that as well as our DVC episode. And if you missed out on it, maybe we'll do another giveaway soon. But we did a giveaway of some stickers to anybody who was on our free Patreon list. And I think I'm going to throw in, I've got some, before you mail those out, unless you've already mailed them out, I've got some of the older, it's our old logo, but I definitely have 5 left that I can throw to you. So to throw in there too. So they have multiple stickers.
And I just ordered some new ones too. So we're going to do another giveaway in about a month or so.
Cool. That's great. Yep. All right, guys. Well, it's a great, big, beautiful tomorrow, and tomorrow is just a list away.
Tune in next time, and we'll see you real soon.